windy outside. Be nice if it rained too. Hopefully cool things down a little bit around here. It's really windy. So welcome back. What have we gotten done since the last dev log? Well, quite a bit actually. Chapter 7 was completed. Had to do a few rewrites, but that was known. Changed the pacing a little bit, adjusted a few things here and there. Got through with the playtesting. Most of the issues with the playtesting weren't actually game breaking, just me forgetting to turn things on correctly. So it didn't take nearly as long as I thought it would, but still took some time. So last Friday, right when we got done with the playtesting, started on chapter 8. It's another dense chapter. Not quite as dense as chapter 7, but relatively dense enough. And it's that dense to start prepping the player for what's going to happen at the end of the game. We did a little bit of rewriting here and there again, and we changed the pacing. So let's just talk about where chapter 8 is, how it's going, or what we're looking to do with it. So for the pacing, we've placed it a bit more on a bell curve, where it's going to start off pretty slow, kind of like chapter 7 did, and it's going to ramp up quite a bit, and then it's going to have a very sharp fall off. After that fall off, it's going to be coming right back up until we get to the end, and it's going to start tapering off quite a bit, starting to set things up for chapter 9. There's some content that was cut out of chapter 8 as well. It's not cut out of the game, it was just moved. I think that's a better way of saying it. It was sitting right in the middle of chapter 8, and after the reading decided, I think that'd probably be better in a different spot in the game. So it was moved into a slightly later chapter. This should help out with the pacing quite a bit. There are a few scenes with the 3 characters that aren't Vitas, and it's all really just been set up for some reflective time for them. That's about it. There's also been some new weapons added, just to, they're in-game weapons. You'll only really be using them in chapters 9 and 10, but that's when they're going to be the most important. Also added in a few new items. These items are actually for the side quest to get your final weapons, and even these are tied into the lore just a bit. I think that's pretty much where we are right now. There's a few things that we're going to be working on today. We've already set up the Switch library for it. We've set up some variable libraries. We're placing a few events here and there to start triggering off correctly. But right now, chapter 8 seems like it's going smoothly, but we haven't gotten into the weeds yet. It really shouldn't be nearly as messy as chapter 7 was to really get going. It's pretty straightforward, not a lot of bouncing back and forth until you get to roughly the middle, and then I'm going to have to start creating some new graphics for some of the events happening in chapter 8. But yeah, I think that's kind of where we are with chapter 8 right now. With that said, I'm going to go grab something to drink real fast, just because my throat is kind of parched for some reason. Probably because it's so dry around here. Yeah, anyway, I'll be right back. There's something else out there right now. Oh, got some water. Okay, so let's continue. At this point, I do want to talk about the narrative of the game a little bit. I don't really want to spoil anything, because then there'd be no reason to play the game, right? But there are a few things that I would like to talk about, especially when it comes to elemental powers and the media. So, the name of the current game, the one that I'm working on now anyway, is called Vita, the Ember Oracle, which should be a pretty good indicator that fire is the primary element for this game. When we typically think of fire, we usually think of something that's aggressive and destructive and wild. And that's just a trope that we see in media in general. The character that uses fire is always a hothead, he's impulsive, they just want to burn pretty much everything. And I wanted to move away from that trope as much as I possibly could. Now, we've seen, anyway, in Rift of a Nation, the game previous to this, that both the heroes of that, Nasa Day and Kala Kree, though they use the same power, they differ slightly when it comes to their ultimate abilities. That's the one place where they really diverge from each other. This time, I wanted to take that a lot further. Now, let's talk about the teams just really fast so you can understand what's going on here. I usually have the teams broken into 2 Vitas and 2 Maisha. And the whole reason for that is to show the different sides that each race uses their powers, if that makes any sense. You usually have on the Maisha side, not even usually, all the time, you've got some type of healer and you have some type of tank. And that's where the Maisha really excel at, is healing our status effects and tanking damage or dealing damage in that way. Where the Vita, on the other hand, in most cases are just pure destructive power, and that's what they do. They blow all the stuff up. So with fire, I wanted to start subverting the idea that fire is always destructive, that it's always wild and it just wants the world to burn. With the 2 Vitas that we've got this time, one of them he's definitely that trope. He's not a hothead, relatively thoughtful, thinks a lot of things through, but his ability to destroy is on full display really in the first 3 to 4 minutes of the game. And then you've got his partner Vita, who wants to use fire and see fire in a different manner. So let's think about, once again, fire and media. We see fire in 2 different ways. It's either a campfire there to keep people warm, or it's something that is destroying a city or a town or woods or whatever it may be. And in that destructive case is when fire becomes a character. For Vita, the Ember Oracle, fire is constantly a character within this story. And we do see how it can be very destructive, but then we see how it's warm and it can be caring and thoughtful. But we don't just see it physically destroying things either. We see it destroying things mentally. We see it destroying things emotionally. It is a destructive force, but even though we see it destroying things in these different manners, we also see how it's bringing life and it's bringing hope to a whole nother group of people. So yeah, fire is it's definitely probably the biggest character as far as this game is concerned. So I think that's kind of a deep dive as far as where the game is going and a bit of the narrative, and we'll definitely do this again next week, where there may be an aspect of it that I do want to dive a little bit deeper into, but not too deep, because there's got to be stuff there for you guys to experience, right? And as far as these devlog goes, I think I'm going to keep it right about there. What we've done over the week, and just a few thoughts on the narrative, and maybe even future games, because I'm already planning out some of that stuff. Not too deep, but definitely planning it out. Anyway, I think it's actually raining outside, so I'm gonna go stand outside and cool down for a bit, because that sounds quite nice right now. So I'll see you guys next time.